So good evening, Anita. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Miss Byers, and yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. How have things been with you?
I've been, I want to say all right, but I'm a little bit frustrated with my job situation still.
Okay. And I remember in our last session, we spoke about you moving to a new school. You talked to me about you being an educator, and you were coming in saying that you had a little bit of anxiety and apprehension related to your job. And I'm hearing, a little frustration now about your job. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that I'm going to take a few notes um, just so that it will help me remember the things that are important in our session.
Yes.
I will make it a point to jot down specific things that you say, and if at any time you want me to stop, that is what I will do. And also, I will make these notes available to you today if you want a copy, or if you don't want a copy today, but maybe 3 weeks down the line you do. I will keep these notes in your file and you have access to them at any time, okay?
Thank you so very much for that, Doctor.
Thank you. And additionally, I did want to ask your permission. I am going to record this session again for the same reason, just for informational purposes. If at any time you want to stop the recording, we can do that. And if you don't want me to show the recording, that is perfectly fine. To anyone, that is perfectly fine. It will just be for my notes. But if you want a copy of that, or if you want the recording to not, for me to dispose of that, I will do so at your request. Is that fine?
That's fine. And I don't mind you recording.
Thank you
and
so
the use
much.
of it, yes.
So let's go ahead and get started. I would assume that since you mentioned you're having some frustration with work, that may be a good place to start. But where would you like to start today, Anita?
I basically want to let you know what has happened since the school year has started.
Wonderful.
When the school year started, there were a teacher assistant and myself, and we had permanent substitute full-time certified teacher.
Okay.
3 weeks into the classroom situation, a situation arose where they brought in a new student. The permanent full-time teacher decided this was not what she bargained for, and therefore she left our classroom.
Oh.
And I don't have a full-time teacher anymore.
Okay. So I'm hearing a little frustration. A little bit is weighing you down. I can kind of feel a little in your shoulders. So if I'm understanding correctly, so you did come to a new school,
Right.
And you had a temporary permanent teacher,
Correct.
someone to be in there for the time being,
Right.
but not a permanent employee or a permanent teacher.
Right.
And things were okay with her,
Right.
but because of you all getting a new student in your room, she was uncomfortable with that, and that caused her departure. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, tell me a little more.
This student was sent to a more smaller type classroom. His learning disabilities are lower. They say he's nonverbal, but he is somewhat verbal. So that means when he came in, half my class had to be taken away.
Wow.
I had we had 10 students. Now we're basically down to 4 of the students that was there before, and now him.
Okay.
The classroom had to be rearranged. We have to put up a pictorial schedule for him, one on his desk, one at the exits of the room, the front exit and the back exit. He has laptop type situation for communication, and he's very behavioral.
Okay.
She felt that she was not ready to deal with something like that. And this is a Core 1 exceptional ed class.
Okay.
And even though she had taught exceptional ed, she was not willing to stay in that situation, and she left us. And that left 2 teacher assistants and no teacher.
Oh man. So I'm sorry to hear that. And I can see how that can be a very stressful situation.
Yes.
Because it's you don't really have any stability right now.
Right. We don't have anyone to write our lesson plans or help with the curriculum that needs to be taught.
Yeah.
So that was a bit overwhelming to go into in the first 3 to 4 weeks of the classroom. We've had many subs, but none of them were capable of being anything but like myself, a teacher's assistant.
Okay.
Um, Also, in the process during this time period since I last saw you, and that
Yes.
my co-worker that was in the classroom with me is and the TA as well. She was in a very bad car accident,
Oh.
so she has been out of the classroom for a 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
So I've been in the classroom, the only real teacher assistant in the classroom with 2 subs.
Wow. So I'm
Two,
hearing. So I'm
one
hearing.
moment, yes.
Mhm.
2 subs and no one-on-one for the little man.
Wow. So I'm hearing that more has happened. So your temporary but your permanent temporary teacher has left,
Right.
because the student that you got in is can be a little bit physical, and she was not comfortable with that, and
Right.
she departed.
Right.
And in turn, right after that, your permanent other teacher's aide that's there with you to be your support, she had an accident and she left. Is that about right?
That is most definitely
And so
right.
you've been in a situation where you daily you may not know who's going to be in the classroom with you,
Right.
and if they are aware of of the needs that your classroom requires, and if they're able to handle those things.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
I'm glad for right now that as time has gone on, Miss Kimball has came back.
Okay, and that is your.
That is my permanent teacher assistant,
Okay.
and I'm glad she's back.
Mhm.
But with her coming back and finding someone that was more willing to come in the classroom and that maybe knew a little bit of the EC situation,
Yeah.
I got I guess a long-term permanent teacher assistant sub.
Okay.
She's there with us, but there was conflict with her as well.
Okay. So I'm hearing that the good news that you did get another permanent substitute, but you said that she's another assistant.
Right.
So that would make 3 assistants in
3
this classroom.
assistants, right?
And how does that work in reference to there not being a teacher? Who has those duties?
I have taken on the role.
Okay.
Since I am the one that has the most training with the curriculum, with the reading programs,
Yes.
and the math programs, I was put in a position of being the teacher.
Okay. And with that, that can be a lot. I can see the tension on you from having all of that on you.
Right.
So, as a teacher's assistant, you don't have a permanent teacher.
Right.
And at this point, they did send you someone else, but she's filling in as an assistant, and you've stepped up to be the teacher to
Right.
carry out the instructional learning for the children.
Right.
How does that make you feel to have to take on such a feat?
A little overwhelmed at times, but as is working, the situation is working. I've had conflicts with
Right.
the long-term sub.
And so I heard you say that you were overwhelmed, and I'm sure that's in reference to, as you said before, your taking on more responsibilities in the classroom, and now in turn, like you have mentioned with your new substitute in the classroom, the new teacher's aide that they put in there for the time being, you're having conflict with her. Tell me a little bit about that situation.
Well, with us not having a teacher, that means the other Core 1 teacher has to write our lesson plan. And when she does bring us the lesson plan, and it's modified, she teaches 2nd grade, we teach 3rd, she wants to make suggestions to the lesson plans that does not go along with the curriculum.
Okay.
And I'm having to explain to her, even though our kids are a little lower in learning, we still have to stay as close to the curriculum as possible.
Okay.
That goes up as with the setting up of the room and what they are able to learn. Um, she was a fellow educator herself.
Okay.
She ran her own daycare,
Mhm.
but she hasn't taught in a classroom setting or in a daycare setting in over 15 years.
Mhm.
And so the conflict comes in with her wanting to change
Mhm.
the curriculum that is being taught within the classroom.
Mhm.
And that's where I guess you consider called bumping of heads or mind thinkings or coordination comes together to make sure these children are learning.
Mhm.
That's where the problem began.
Okay. So I'm hearing the conflict between you and your new coworker
Right.
is coming from the differences in how you guys want to carry out instruction for the children.
Correct.
With her, you stated that she had been an educator in the past, so I'm sure she feels like she has a firm understanding of the educational system. And with you
Right.
being an educator yourself and for over 20 years and taking the lead for your classroom, I can see how you guys may have a difference of opinion. So is that about right about what's going on? There's a difference of
Most definitely
opinion.
what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And in that conflict, can you give me a specific example of one thing or a couple things that have maybe come to a head between the two of you?
When it comes to their, let me give you a specific one. My children are third graders,
Yes.
but my children are below third grade level as in academics.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to trying to get them as close to it as I can,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make a word wall.
Okay.
I have a word chart that has all the words that they need to go to get to that level,
Mm-hmm.
which there was no problem with. But when it comes to the fact of them stating and putting up a word wall with these words on them, so they will always be constantly that they can see them,
Mm-hmm.
that they can use them.
Yeah.
We had a bumping of the minds and ideas.
Okay.
So, well, that was the biggest thing.
And
And also, she didn't think that we needed to be on a third grade curriculum.
okay. So I'm hearing that for this conflict, for this specific conflict, you wanted to do a word wall to help the student, and that was something that she did not agree with.
Right.
And she wanted to do something that she felt was a little more suitable for the students, but not on their grade level or on their appropriate curriculum level.
Right.
Okay. And so, how did you handle that?
She's older.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been taught to be considerate and kind to the elder.
Mm-hmm.
I take that in consideration, but I had to state to her and show her this is what the curriculum is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what it was those many years since she's been teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Even with showing her that, there was still a not meeting of the minds or her
Okay.
understanding that.
Okay.
So,
So I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go
you.
ahead.
Okay. How did that make you feel that after you tried to explain to her, where you were coming from and what you were trying to do, that she still didn't understand it and it's still more conflict after that? How did that really make you feel?
I was frustrated
Yeah.
and I felt I needed to have someone to talk to.
Mhm.
Like I said, by my TA being out,
Mhm.
she was out for approximately 3 weeks.
Okay.
I was glad when she came back.
Okay.
So that somewhat, with talking and working with her,
Mhm.
and her, I guess, as well as seeing the conflict that her and I were in,
Mhm.
she it helped ease me up a little bit.
Okay. So, so when this conflict, just so I have this clear,
Excuse
when
me.
the conflict originated, it was just you and this one particular assistant, and then no one else. This was when your permanent other coworker was gone.
Yes.
Okay, just want to say, so it was just the two of you.
Right.
So now at this
And another sub.
And another sub.
Right,
Okay,
who didn't know anything about it.
Another sub.
Right.
And so now at this point where you are, your other coworker has come back into the picture.
Right.
And so there's still conflict between the two of you, or maybe the three of you at this point?
Not between the three of us.
Okay.
Because with my permanent teacher assistant in there, she has helped me to realize that no matter how she feels, and between what she knows and what I know, and by us being up to date with the curriculum and the children and things, we need to do what is most efficient for them.
Okay. So I'm hearing that you do have a little bit of support from your permanent teacher's assistant.
Right.
Since she has come back.
Right.
But you're still in a bit of conflict with this temporary permanent teacher sub.
Right.
Could you give me another example of where you guys have been in conflict?
Okay, another thing is where my children are not good writers.
Okay.
So we've taken it upon ourselves, and I say we, I said me and the other teacher assistant.